Yo, what's going on, guys? I just decided to skip the intro and just get straight to the freaking point. Draw on liquidity. You guys need to know this to understand what's going on the lower time frames, because have you ever been stopped out on like a false market structure shift? It's because you need to know where the draw on liquidity is going. You need to know where price is most likely going to draw to next. Now, this video is going to break it down pretty simple, and it's going to help you understand how to read and how to understand draw on liquidity and where price is most likely going to go next. So that way you can frame a framework or a narrative for whatever asset you are working. Now, this works on indices, Forex, even crypto. All right, so draw on liquidity is pretty simple to understand. You just have to go on your higher time frames and understand where is price most likely going to draw to next, okay? On the higher time frames, I'm talking about the weekly and daily. Now, if you're trading on like the 1 hour and 4 hour, if that's where you're looking, then you have to pay attention to the weekly and daily for sure. Now, if you're like intraday day trading, like on the 15-minute, 5-minute, 1 minute, then look at the 1 hour and 4 hour. See where the 1 hour and 4 hour are drawing to, okay? Is it drawing the sell side liquidity? Is it drawing the buy side liquidity? Now, here in this example, if we go to the weekly here, now obviously this is hindsight, but if we go to the weekly here, I was calling for this level to get drawn to in the private group. By the way, if you guys want to join that, we trade every day, every morning, live. We usually trade more indices, but we're getting more into Forex now. If you guys want to join that, the link will be in the description. Anyways, I've been calling for this level to get drawn to, and it did get drawn to. Now, this is the weekly chart. This took a very long time to get there. This took about 2 months to get there, but it finally drew to that liquidity there. Now, this is very important to understand, because if you understand the draw on liquidity on the higher time frames like the weekly, then you can build a narrative or a framework around it. Now, I was looking for buys, but now I am not, because we have swiped the main buy side target. Now, if we go to the monthly, also, this is a fair value gap, as you guys can see here. This candle's high to this candle's low. That gap right there is fair value, and it tapped into it. Now, I would look for sells, right? So let's go to the daily, right? Because the weekly isn't providing me much information here in terms of where does this want to go next, right? After swiping this buy side liquidity here to the left on the weekly chart. Now, if we go down to the daily is a little more clear now. It gives you another story, right? So this is live, right? I am actually in a position on Euro USD. I actually took a position on my personal account on my, the funded that I trade on my personal time. I took a position on Euro USD. Obviously, this is GBP USD, but I have the same narrative and framework for both of these pairs. I believe that they're going to draw to sell side liquidity. And the reason for this is because the daily, again on GU, swiped this buy side, right, on the weekly, and we had a huge energetic displacement lower. Displacement is key, guys. To understand where price is going to go next, you need displacement. And what do I mean by displacement? I mean these huge energetic candles leaving gaps, right, in the form of fair value gaps, okay? Now, if you look here on GU, we actually have a fair value gap that price just tapped into today or yesterday, right? Pretty much took buy side on the lower time frames and tapped into this daily fair value gap, and we had an energetic displacement. No, we had an energetic move down after taking out this buy side right here and tapping into this daily fair value gap, which is a higher time frame PD array, okay? Now, where do I think this is going to draw to next? Now, on the daily, we see this swing low right here, right? On these three candles, 1, 2, 3, this is a swing low that broke these highs. So this is a valid sell side liquidity level that price looks like it is drawing to on the higher time frames. And what else do we have here, guys? We have relative equal lows, right? Whenever we have equal lows, perfect equal lows and relative equal lows, that means that there is a lot of liquidity under those, or even in equal highs, right? Or relative equal highs. So yes, I do think the draw on liquidity is going to be lower. If we go down even lower to the lower time frames, again, let's go to the 4 hour. If we're trading the 4 hour or the 1 hour, we want to be paying attention to the daily and weekly again. Now, as you guys just seen here on the daily, price looks like it's drawing down to the swing low here on the daily, relative equal lows right here. So yes, I do think that this is going to be the draw. Now, this is helping me build a framework or narrative, as you guys can see. And I will show you guys another little tip if you guys do trade GBP USD and Euro USD, just a little bonus tip in the video. But the draw on liquidity is going to be down here, in my opinion. Now, this is going to happen later on in the week, in my opinion. This, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I am betting that this price action is most likely going to draw it down to these lows. Now, I didn't want to do a whole hindsight video. I wanted to actually throw in like a live example for once, and you guys could see if this hits later on in the week or next week. But I do think that the draw on liquidity is going to be down here to this sell side level, and I just explained why, right? So now we could, build the framework, the narrative, whatever, start looking for lower time frame entries. This is how you can get into trades after you understand where the higher time frame draw on liquidity is. You start zooming into the lower time frames, you start trying to find points of interest where you can enter or where you can potentially enter. Right now, if we go down to the 1 hour, what do we see here? We don't see a whole lot of information except for, price taking this buy side here and then energetically pushing down. We haven't took this low yet. So what I would do here is actually just wait for the kill zones to start, right? Let's see what Asia kill zones does. Let's see what London kill zone does, and let's see what New York kill zone does. I usually just trade New York. You can definitely catch entries in London. I really just avoid Asia session overall, but London is usually the session where you can start getting the earliest entries, right? And then New York is usually the continuation session. So what I would be doing here is looking for points of interest. Again, if we go to the 4 hour real quick, we actually see that we have a small fair value gap here. So I'd be looking to possibly go short somewhere around here. Now, again, this is the 4 hour chart. So this is probably going to take like a day or two to play out. If we go to the 15-minute, we actually have more information here, right? We have potential buy side up here. We have another fair value gap up here. If we go to the 5-minute, we start refining points of interest, right? We have buy side up here, relative equal highs right here. We have a fair value gap there. So as you guys can see, you guys could start zooming in even lower, but I would recommend just sticking to these kill zones so that way you guys can find entries and then play off that, because again, higher time frame is key. The higher time frame draw on liquidity is going to give you the narrative or the framework to build off of, right? So that way you could start looking for trades in the lower time frame that fit your draw on liquidity, your bias, right, on the higher time frames. This is what I do. This is what I teach other people to do. It's very, very crucial that you understand where the higher time frame draw on liquidity is, like on the daily and the weekly. Now, if you can't find, if you're not sure where the draw on liquidity is, if it's like in the middle of a range, then I wouldn't even trade that. I would move on or wait until something gets swiped in terms of sell side or buy side liquidity. Also, to add on to the narrative and framework that I am bearish on GBP USD and Euro USD this week, I look at the DXY, right, which is the dollar index. Now, where does the dollar index look like it wants to draw to on the higher time frames? This is the daily chart, right? What do we have here? Can anybody guess it before I point it out, right? Make sure you tell it to yourself. Make sure you write it down. I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have relative equal highs right here on the daily after violating a bearish daily volume imbalance and then retesting the top of it and exploding up, right? And now we also have a daily fair value gap that yesterday it tapped into and it closed nicely. I like this reaction right here. Now, if we go down to the 1 hour, it's going to give you another, it's going to give you another story of where DXY may potentially draw to for the London session. And this is where you work off of, right? DXY draw on liquidity is going to be up here. Now, if DXY goes up, the currencies go down. So this is just adding on to my narrative and my framework for why I'm bearish on Euro USD, GBP USD. One thing I want to mention here, it doesn't have to happen this week, but I do think it happens this week, okay? Now, DXY, if we go to the weekly real quick, we have a fair value gap up here that I think is going to be the higher time frame draw on liquidity in terms of the weekly chart, right? I think that the weekly draws up to this weekly fair value gap here. If we go back to the daily real quick, we have all of these buy side levels right here that I think, and I am very confident in saying here, that DXY is going to clear all 3 of them into this weekly fair value gap. And that just adds on to the narrative on why I am bearish on Euro and GBP USD. As you guys can see here, I hope this is making sense, and I hope this is very, very helpful to you guys. If it is, leave me a like and subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be bringing out way more videos like this. If we go down to the 4 hour now, we actually have another fair value gap here. So this adds on again to the narrative, right? It's very important that you understand the higher time frame draw on liquidity because, again, you can start building a narrative and framework off of it. Okay, now this is DXY. Again, if it goes up, the currencies go down, right? So if we go to the 1 hour here, we have equal lows. Right under these equal lows is a 4-hour fair value gap. So this is what I would be marking and setting alerts on to maybe possibly add on to my position or open new positions, right? This is a 4-hour fair value gap, this shaded box right here. We have bullish market structure. After breaking this high and closing above it, we did not reject the high and we did not come down and make a new low. So what is this telling me? This is telling me that price DXY is probably going to draw down to these equal lows into this 4-hour fair value gap and push up for London and New York session to come and clean house at these relative equal highs, because this is the higher time frame draw on liquidity. And that is how you do it, guys. That is pretty much how you figure out your draw on liquidity and how you can build a framework and narrative around that. So it is very crucial and important that you guys understand where your higher time frame draw on liquidity, meaning where is price most likely going to go to next for whatever asset you are trading. This works on indices, SPX 500, NAS 100, and crypto and forex. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope you guys will utilize this in your guys' trading. And if it does help you, make sure you guys come back and comment that it did. Please leave me a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you guys want to see next. I always tell you guys this, but nobody ever comments. So let me know what you guys want to see next. And if you guys want to trade live with me in the group every single day, every single morning, the link will be in the description below. I will see you guys later. I will see you guys in the next video.
Danny on the beat, boy.
Depot on the beat.